So today we once again gonna go through Sapiens by Harari, an amazing book with an amazing summary, and yeah, I don't think that we are gonna finish it up. No, we are not gonna do that. But today we're gonna talk about religion at first, and maybe then we're also gonna talk about success and or ignorance. We're gonna see. No, we're actually gonna see after the intro. As always, because this is what we do on this podcast. We just do shit and we get shit done. And then we do stuff, and you're not wasting just a lot of time by doing some bullshitty thing in fucking Microsoft Teams as I'm doing, right? We're not gonna do that. So yeah, the law of religion, which is gonna be the next thing that we're gonna talk about. Religion can thus be defined as a system of human norms and values that is founded on a belief in superhuman order. This involves two distinct criteria. Animists thought that humans were just one of many creatures inhabiting the world. Polytheists, on the other hand, increasingly saw the world as a reflection of the relationship between gods and humans. In fact, most polytheists and even animist religions recognize such a supreme power that stands behind all the different gods, demons, and holy rocks. In classical Greek, polytheism, Zeus or Zeus, as I think you're pronouncing it in English, Hera, Apollo, and their colleagues were subject to an omnipotent and all-encompassing power, which is fate or moira ananke or something. The fundamental insight of polytheism, which distinguishes it from monotheism, is that the supreme power governing the world is devoid of interests and biases, and therefore it is uncovered with the mundane desires, cares, and worries of humans. The Greeks did not waste any sacrifices on fate, and Hinduists built no temples to Atman. There are necessarily many of these smaller powers, since once you start dividing up the all-encompassing power of a supreme principle, you will inevitably end up with more than one deity, hence the plurality of gods. Which, by the way, makes sense. If you just try to do that, then there gotta be multiple ones. Not just two, I guess, and stuff. So I don't know. The insight of polytheism is conducive to far-reaching religious tolerance, since polytheists believe on the one hand in one supreme and completely disinterested power, and on the other hand in many partial and biased powers. There is no difficulty for the devotees of one god to accept the existence and efficacy of other gods. Polytheism is inherently open-minded and rarely persecutes heretics and infidels. In many cases, the imperial elite itself adopted the gods and rituals of subject people. The Romans happily added the Asian goddess Cybele and the Egyptian goddess Isis to their pantheon. I see. The only god that the Romans long refused to tolerate was the monotheistic and evangelism god of the Christians. The Roman Empire did not require the Christians to give up their beliefs and rituals, but it did expect them to pay respect to the empire's protector gods and to the divinity of the emperor. This was seen as a declaration of political loyalty. When the Christians vehemently refused to do so and went on to reject all attempts at compromise, the Romans reacted by persecuting what they understood to be a politically subversive faction, and even this was done half-heartedly. Still, if we combine all the victims of all these persecutions, it turns out that in these 3 centuries, the polytheistic Romans killed no more than a few thousand Christians. In contrast, over the course of the next 1,500 years, Christians slaughtered Christians by the millions to defend slightly different interpretations of the religion of love and compassion. The Christian saints did not merely resemble the old polytheistic gods, they were these very gods in disguise. For example, the chief goddess of Celtic Ireland prior to the coming of Christianity was Bridget. When Ireland was Christianized, Bridget too was Baptist. She became Saint Bridget, who to this day is the most revered saint in Catholic Ireland. Zoroastrians saw the world as a cosmic battle between the good god Ahura Mazda and the evil god Angra Mainyu, or something. Could be. Gautama found that there was a way to exit the vicious cycle. If, when the mind experiences something pleasant or unpleasant, it simply understands things as they are, then there is no suffering. If you experience sadness without craving that, the sadness go away and you continue to feel sadness, but you do not suffer from it. I see. There can actually be richness in the sadness. If you experience joy without craving that the joy linger and intensify, you continue to feel joy without losing your peace of mind. We encapsulated this teaching in a single law. Suffering arises from craving. The only way to be fully liberated from suffering is to be fully liberated from craving. And the only way to be liberated from craving is to train the mind to experience reality as it is and not some delusional bullshit. Indeed. The modern age has witnessed the rise of a number of new natural law religions such as liberalism, communism, capitalism, nationalism, and Nazism. If a religion is a system of human norms and values that is founded on belief in a superhuman order, the Soviet communism was no less a religion than Islam. Scientists studying the inner workings of the human organism have found no soul there. They increasingly argue that human behavior is determined by hormones, genes, and synapses rather than by free will. The same forces that determine the behavior of chimpanzees, wolves, and ants. Our judicial and political systems largely try to sweep such inconvenient discoveries under the carpet, but in all frankness, how long can we maintain the wall separating the Department of Biology from the Department of Law and Political Science? Which, by the way, is a very interesting discussion there, because yeah, I think it is difficult to say. Is there free will? Is there no free will? Or is it free willingness to just not have a free will? Because we still feel like we're having a free will. If we have it or not, doesn't really matter in the end. If we just believe we're having it, then it is what it is. Of course, we are fucking animals. Quite. And we indeed have hormones, which is, I think, definitely something that we all can see, that we behave differently if certain hormones are just more prominent, if certain things are going on, if there is a loved one just besides us, if whatever, we're gonna behave differently. And we're just trying to attract people to us, and we try to do whatever. And yeah, we just, in the end, experience things differently, and we do things differently, and we act differently, and behave differently, and all that shit. So yeah, it's actually a pretty good point. What about biology? What about science and political things and whatnot as one thing, and all that's just two separate things? The secret of success. This is one of the distinguishing marks of history as an academic discipline. The better you know a particular historical period, the harder it becomes to explain why things happened one way and not another. Level 2 case is case that reacts to predictions about it, and therefore can never be predicted accurately. Markets, for example, are a level of 2 chaotic system. You can't fucking predict the market. It's not possible. Level 2 chaos is case that reacts to predictions about it. I get it, and yes, it makes sense. If you just try to or start to predict things in a market and also probably act on it, it's gonna change the whole fucking thing. It's like one prediction is gonna lead to another prediction, which is an endless cycle of predictions that may or may not be right. Most scholars in the humanities disdain memetics, seeing it as an amateurish attempt to explain cultural processes with crude biological analogies. But many of these same scholars adhere to memetics twin sister postmodernism. Postmodernist thinkers speak about discourses rather than memes as the building blocks of culture, yet they see cultures as a propagating themselves with little regard for the benefit of humankind. I see, and by the way, there's a lot of interesting postmodernists, for example, and there's actually a very known Austrian one, I think, but I don't know. I don't remember, unfortunately. Well, anyway. The next one is really interesting, the discovery of ignorance. But the single most remarkable and defining moment of the past 500 years came at 5 o'clock 29 minutes 45 seconds on the 16th of July 1945, which has probably something to do with World War II, doesn't it? Because World War II ended in 1945. At that precise second, American scientists detonated the first atomic bomb at Alamogordo, New Mexico. From that point onward, humankind had the capability not only to change the course of history, but to end it. Throughout history, scientists have suffered from two kinds of poverty: social poverty, which withholds from some people the opportunities available to others, and biological poverty, which puts the very lives of individuals at risk due to a lack of food and shelter. Perhaps social poverty can never be eradicated, but in many countries around the world, biological poverty is a thing of the past. Fortunately, really fortunately, having enough food, all of that things. The marriage of science and empire. Astronomers predicted that the next Venus transit would occur in 1761 and 1769. So expeditions were sent from Europe to the four corners of the world in order to observe the transits from as many distant points as possible. In 1761, scientists observed the transit from Siberia, North America, Madagascar, and South Africa. Many cultures drew world maps long before the modern age. Previously, none of them really knew the whole of the world. No Afro-Asian culture knew about America, and no American culture knew about Afro-Asia. But unfamiliar areas were simply left out or filled with imaginary monsters and wonders. These maps had no empty spaces. They gave the impression of a familiarity with the entire world. Yes, of course, how should the world be? They're all gonna be like us, because we can't think about something else, we can't imagine something else. During the 15th and 16th century, Europeans began to draw world maps with lots of empty spaces, one indication of the development of the scientific mindset as well as of the European imperial drive. The empty maps were a psychological and ideological breakthrough, a clear admission that Europeans were ignorant of large parts of the world. The discovery of America was the foundational event of the scientific revolution. It is not only thought or taught Europeans to favor present observations over past traditions, but the desire to conquer America also obliged Europeans to search for new knowledge at breakneck speed. The Aztec Empire was an extremely centralized polity, and this unprecedented situation paralyzed it. Montezuma continued to behave as if he ruled the empire, and the Aztec elite continued to obey him, which meant they obeyed Cortés. This situation lasted for several months, during which time Cortés interrogated Montezuma and his attendants, trained translators in a variety of local languages, and sent small Spanish expeditions in all directions to become familiar with the Aztec Empire and the various tribes, peoples, and cities that it ruled, which is also pretty interesting. But I don't really know what I should get out of it at this point. I gotta be honest, but I don't know. The capitalist creed. Banks are allowed to loan $10 for every dollar they actually possess, which means that 90% of all the money in our bank accounts is not covered by actual coins and notes. Thank you. Because credit was limited, people had trouble financing new businesses. Because there were few new businesses, the economy did not grow. Because it did not grow, people assumed it never would, and those who had capital were wary of extending credit. The expectation of stagnation fulfilled itself. Today, there is so much credit in the world that governments, businesses, corporations, and private individuals easily obtain large, long-term and low-interest loans that far exceed current income. Smith made the following novel argument. When a landlord, a weaver, or a shoemaker has great profits, then he needs to maintain his own family. He uses the surplus to employ more assistants in order to further increase his profits. The more profit he has, the more assistants he can employ. It follows that an increase in the profits of private entrepreneurs is the basic for the increase in collective wealth and prosperity, which, as I'm reading through it, kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But I don't know if it is that easy. All this depends, however, on the rich using their profits to open new factories and hire new employees. Yes, of course, because if you just save it, it's not going to happen, something like this, rather than wasting them on non-productive activities. Smith therefore repeated like a mantra the maxim that when profits increase, the landlord or weaver will employ more assistants, and not when profits increase. And not when profits increase, Scrooge will hoard his money in a chest and take it out only to count his coins. Yeah, this is what I meant by saving. Or you just can put it like this, which is a more funny way, I guess. In order to control trade on the important Hudson River, WIC built a settlement called New Amsterdam on an island at the river's mouth. The colony was threatened by Indians and repeatedly attacked by the British, who eventually captured it in 1664. The British changed its name to New York. The remains of the wall built by WIC to defend its colony against Indians and British are today paved over the world's most famous street, the Wall Street. I didn't know about that. Historical lessons. Thank you. In the late 1830s, the Chinese government issued a ban on drugs trafficking, but British drug merchants simply ignored the law. Chinese authorities began to confiscate and destroy drug cargoes. The drug cartels had close connections in Westminster and Downing Street. Many MPs and cabinet ministers, in fact, held stock in the drug companies, so they pressured the government to take action. In 1840, Britain duly declared war on China in the name of free trade. It was a walkover. The overconfident Chinese were no match for Britain's new wonder weapons: steamboats, heavy artillery, rockets, and rapid-fire rifles. Under the subsequent peace treaty, China agreed not to constrain the activities of British drug merchants and to compensate them for damages inflicted by the Chinese police. Furthermore, the British demanded and received control over Hong Kong, which they proceeded to use as a secure base for drug trafficking. Hong Kong remained in British hands until 1997. In the late 19th century, about 40 million Chinese, a tenth of the country's population, were opium addicts. Well done, motherfuckers, I gotta have to say. But, I knew about Hong Kong and like the relationship between Britain and stuff like that, but not exactly. But it's really fucking interesting. And I mean, it once again shows that it is so globalized, that we're all so global. Like really fucking indeed. This is the fly in the ointment of free market capitalism. It cannot ensure that profits are gained in a fair way or distributed in a fair manner. On the contrary, the craving to increase profits and production blinds people to anything that might stand in the way. When growth becomes a supreme good, unrestricted by any other ethical considerations, it can easily lead to catastrophe. Some religions, such as Christianity and Nazism, have killed millions out of burning hatred. Capitalism has killed millions out of cold indifference coupled with greed. The Atlantic slave trade did not stem from racist hatred towards Africans. The individuals who bought the shares, the brokers who sold them, and the managers of the slave trade companies rarely thought about the Africans, nor did the owners of the sugar plantations. Many owners lived far from the plantations, and the only information they demanded were neat ledgers of profits and losses. Well, I don't know about just history that well that I can just, validate that or say no, stuff like that. Well, yeah, it's not that much left, to be honest. Well, it depends. So should I stop the Wheel of Industry? Is it the next one, actually? I think it is. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. So I'm gonna highlight it. So are we gonna be able to finish it the next time, or should I just move on with this one and then? Well, I think I'm going to go through the next one as well. The Wheels of Industry. At first, the idea of using gunpowder to propel projectiles was so counterintuitive that for centuries gunpowder was used primarily to produce fire bombs. But eventually, perhaps after some bomb expert ground powder in a mortar only to have the pestle shoot out with force, guns made their appearance. About 600 years passed between the invention of gunpowder and the development of effective artillery. Separating the metal from its ore was extremely difficult and costly. For decades, aluminium was much more expensive than gold. In the 1860s, Emperor Napoleon III of France commissioned aluminium cutlery to be laid out for his most distinguished guests. Less important visitors had to make do with the gold knives and forks. No, just fuck the gold, Just have to imagine it. 2,000 years ago, when people in the Mediterranean basin suffered from dry skin, they smeared olive oil on their hands. To Hollow's surprise, the infant monkeys showed a marked preference for the cloth mother, spending most of the time with her. When the two mothers were placed in close proximity, the infants held on to the cloth mother, even while they reached over to suck milk from the metal mother. What is a cloth mother? I don't know what a cloth mother is. Look up. Please give me something. My mother told me exactly one thing. I don't know that it is this. I just truly want to know what it is. Cloth mother. Is it like just one that was soft designed? Oh, cloth mother was soft designed for clinching, but provided no food. When you frighten a baby monkey, who does she run to? Why a mother who has been feeding her, or clothed mother who has providing nothing but contact comfort? So it's not two real mothers, but one is, I see. No food, but just something physically comforting to cling to. I see. Fucking interesting, man. Spending most of the time with her when the two mothers so carelessly on extravagant luxuries, whereas peasant life frugally mining every penny. Today the tables have turned. The rich take great care managing their assets and investments, while the less well-heeled go into debt buying cars and televisions they don't really need. It's indeed the case, and it is fucked up. Don't do that. But it's pretty interesting. The hollow surprise, the infamous monkey show. It's really interesting thing. And just because of that, I gotta have to say, like, it's been a good episode. Even though the reading wasn't good, I don't actually know why. Not really. Okay, there's really nothing in there. Well, anyway. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the episode there. I'm very sorry that the reading wasn't too good today, and maybe that the information wasn't too good today, and that I haven't been talking too much today, actually. But only reading. But yeah, it is what it is. Tomorrow's gonna be a new day. It's gonna be a good day. And yeah. I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself when you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is always going to be a good idea, which is always a good thing to do. 3 other questions that I have for you are: why are you here, what are you trying to change, and what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is kind of the optimal thing that can be happening. You know? Anyway, the question of today as well is, just because I've kind of skipped it, what could you do, what could you say, what could you make to really help somebody? Yeah, this is the question. And with that being said, I really have to thank you for everything so much. Maybe even subscribe to the podcast. I would at least appreciate that. And I'll hopefully gonna see you the next time. So bye. I'll see you. Stay cool, stay healthy. I really hope. And I'll see you. Bye.